Welcome to our live stream of high school sports. Please note that this broadcast is produced by an independent team of sports enthusiasts, and the views, opinions, and commentary expressed are solely those of the commentators and not representative of the schools, teams, or athletes featured. While we strive for accuracy, occasional errors or misstatements may occur. This stream is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the show.
Yeah, come on, let's go. Hey, you ain't never seen nothing like this. Ain't no telling how it might get. It's the hypest right here. High school sports at its finest. So many highlights, you have to rewind it. Hey, Stream City, let me just remind ya. The heart of a lion, a team full of fighters. So many stars on the field, it'll blind ya. They're giving everything they got till the time's up. Yeah, legends in the making. History is made. We just getting started. You ain't seen a thing. YSN, gotta know the name. They gon' bring the flames. They gon' do their thing. Take it to another level, don't hold back. High school, got a passion and we show that. Got the drive and you know they got the heart. Number one spot for your high school sports. Let's go for the win. Hey.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside to a Wednesday episode of YSN Live. It is December 3rd, 2025. As we always like to say, it's the only one you're going to get, so you better go make it the best December 3rd, 2025 you possibly can. We're going to do the same thing. It's Wednesday, it's fall, it's winter, and you know what Wednesdays in winter bring. Good old Gary Altizer, the YSN wrestling guru, the only YSN employee that could probably make you tap out in 15 seconds or less. Gary, welcome back to Season 5 of Wrestling Wednesday with Gary Altizer. We are so happy to have you, and we're so happy that wrestling is upon us again, and we get to talk about the great grapplers of the YSN family.
Hey, I'm glad to be back. I'm excited to be back. I can't believe we're in our 5th year here, Anthony. I look forward to this every season and especially every Wednesday.
So when we think about the way last year ended, I mean, we had such a good showing at state. It's so many reasons to be excited for wrestling. What are you most excited for this year? What are some things that you're like, hey, this is why I'm so anticipating wrestling season in 2025-26?
I don't know, at least since we've been doing the show, that we've had this many guys coming back in the YSN family that have a real chance to win a state championship. I was just running through the rankings on Dubstat, and there are probably a half a dozen guys that are ranked in the top 3 or 4. So you've got a chance to really see multiple state champions this coming year. And some of these are for real familiar names, and I would be really shocked if there aren't multiple state champs in the YSN family.
When you think, I mean, that's just awesome to think about. And I think you're right. Usually we've had state champions. We've definitely had them, but they're usually getting them on their senior year. So the next year we're like, okay, who's going to be the next state champion? But now we're sitting here saying who can repeat or who can make another run at it. And I think we have a lot of guys and girls that are in that mix that can say, okay, they're another year older. We've seen some young talent the last couple of years. Now they're in upperclassman territory where they have a little bit more experience, and this is exciting. And I'm sure we have still some freshmen that are sitting there trying to make a name for themselves in their first year as well that we'll have to learn along the way.
Yeah, there's definitely some freshmen coming up in some of these schools, and that'll be the thing. We'll get surprised by some guys like we do every year, some 8th graders that have moved up. And, you don't get much press in this sport until you get to high school. But you can get press really quick in this sport as a freshman. You don't have to wait your turn like you do in a lot of sports. If you're better, you're going to be out there and everybody's eyes are going to be right on you.
Talking about press, this year we are continually striving to up our wrestling coverage, and we definitely are upping our wrestling coverage this year. Chris Colucci is kind of flagpoling the broadcasts of wrestling, and he has his own wrestling Instagram that we've had for a couple of years on YSN_wrestling. So for all of our awesome coverage in the sport all season long, you can follow us and see it, but the best way to see it quick is to make sure to go over to that Instagram and Twitter, YSN_wrestling, and keep up with that. Gary, when you think about some of the programs, we talked about the players we have to keep an eye on. Who are some of the programs that you say, okay, this season they're going to be ones that we definitely have to look out for?
On D1, Louisville, they've got a couple guys ranked in the top 10 there, and remember they made the move to Division I believe, last year from Division II. They got a strong program. They got guys that are going to qualify in place no matter what division they're in. Beaver Local in Division II, they've got 3 guys that have a chance to win a state championship. So even with just those 3 guys at the state tournament, they're going to score a whole lot of points. And Canfield's got some guys too. I believe they've got at least one wrestler ranked in the top 2 and a couple predicted to place. Those are the ones that stood out to me immediately in Division 1 and 2. In Division 3, I think it's going to be a wait and see with the smaller schools. Probably going to have some teams surprise us. Of course, in South Range, C. Schultz is coming back. He's always battling for a spot at the top of the podium. So those are the names that stick out to me right away.
And then every year there's always something new, right? We talked about the new freshmen that are coming up, but there's also, I'm sure, a couple of new faces in the coaching staffs. Who are some programs that you think have some newness to them or looking a little bit different than they've looked in the past?
Nothing really comes to mind this year. I don't know of any big changes like we had in the past. I know Leetonia now has officially recognized the sport. So they're moving from a club into a sport, and we've seen several schools have that happen recently. Western Reserve had that happen a few years ago. So the sport's continuing to grow. I can't think of any right off the top of my head, Anthony, that stand out to me.
Today is the first day of the official season, correct? So this is the first day that we're going to see wrestling teams be able to go out and compete in official matches.
Today or tomorrow, yes. If they're 3rd or the 4th, it's usually Wednesday or Thursday of the first week you can have a match. So there'll be some duels coming up here within the next day or 2.
So when you're talking about getting ready for that game 1, when we bring on basketball coaches, we ask them, what are some checklists that you want to have happen before match 1? For wrestling coaches, what are some things that they've been doing the last, 2 or 3 weeks, especially you? Obviously, you're the head coach of Wellsville. You can speak to this in your program as well. What have they been doing the last 2 or 3 weeks to get them really ready for meet 1, duel 1, the first time they get on the mat against another team in an official capacity?
Knocking off the cobwebs. You're dusting off the cobwebs. You're getting your guys and girls in shape, football shape, soccer shape, whatever shape you're in. It's not wrestling shape. So trying to get your wind build up, just drilling moves, just getting that muscle memory working, and figuring out where you're going to put people in what weights. You have to get the state mandated hydration test that tells you what weight you are. Each kid is allowed to go every single day of the season. They have it mapped out for you to tell you what weight they can wrestle. So getting that done and then figuring out your lineup and where your wrestlers are going to go into what weight class. Those are the things that you really are focusing on. And hopefully, because, this is a long season. The wrestling season is a long season. But the time that wrestlers have from their first practice to their first match, I don't know what the exact days are with the other sports, but it feels sure like we have a really short amount of time to get our kids ready.
And for a lot of these really good programs, it got even shorter with the long football runs that they had. We know that a lot of wrestling programs kind of feed from their football programs. We see a lot of linemen go into the wrestling room after their football seasons is done. So what kind of strain do you think those programs are under? The Polands of the world. The Girard had a deep tournament run, of course. Mooney and McDonald just lost last week. You talk about those programs that are just kind of waiting for their guys to get back from football. The time even gets shorter. So what kind of crunch does that put on a coach when you're not getting your kid until maybe 2 weeks before the season even starts?
Oh yeah, that makes a big difference, especially if you've got a tournament that you think you can win, or a big duel coming up at the beginning of the season. If your guys have only been there for a week or 2, it's tough to be ready to wrestle a match. So a lot of guys get held out, until the second week or whenever they're comfortable. Coaches obviously have mentally prepared for that. but I think all wrestling coaches have dealt with that at some point in their career. Hey, our football team is doing great. We want them focusing on that. We'll worry about wrestling when they get here. And then when they get here, they're going to be a little bit behind in their conditioning, just switching over to wrestling mode. But it doesn't take long to catch up, especially if you got some experience.
All right, Gary, DJ's in the comments. He wants to know two things. One, he wants to know who the best wrestler you've seen is. I'm sure he's talking live in our area. But secondly, he wants to know if you have a VCR connected to that old school TV in the background.
I have a Nintendo 64 and a Super Nintendo connected to that thing. That's why that's there.
Yes.
To start. No VCR, though, unfortunately. Man, the best wrestler I've ever seen in person. Gosh, that's a tough question to ask. In this area, I've seen guys that have gone on to wrestle in Division I, several guys that have been All-Americans in Division I. I can't answer that question. I don't want to offend anybody because there's been so many great wrestlers. I'll just say we live in an area where there are a lot of great wrestlers. I don't think that people around here realize how much of a hotbed this is for wrestling around the country. We're kind of spoiled that we're, in Northeast Ohio, where there's one of the best places in the country for wrestling, and we're right next door to the best place in the country in Pennsylvania. There's so much good wrestling. It'd be hard to say, but I'll say Cael Sanderson is the best wrestler I've ever watched, either through video or in person, and that's a case closed.
So I'll kind of grow from that question and ask it a little bit more personalized. That way you don't feel like if you say best, you're leaving someone out, because anytime you use that word best, someone's going to be like, well, why am I not the best? But this question's more personal preference, right? So it's a little bit more opinionated, I guess, so people can't get mad because it's just, Gary's personal preference. If there was one player in the area, that past or present, that you had to get their autograph, like, hey, I have to have this guy's poster or whatever it may be signed because it's going to be a part of memorabilia, or it's a part of, local wrestling nostalgia, whatever it may be. Who's that guy to you? Who do you think has been like the funnest to watch for your personal preference, or maybe the guy that blew you away, personal preference? You're like, man, I can't wait to watch this guy just because I'm a big fan of the way he works or the way he or she kind of wrestles. So who's that athlete for you that you think I would really like to have their autograph one day hanging on the poster on the wall?
Like to have their autograph. So I'm going to go back a little bit here. There was a wrestler at Beaver local named Adam Hoppel. He went on to play football at Cincinnati, and I think he was even in the preseason with the Browns. But I think he was an even better wrestler than he was a football player. And he wrestled in the state finals and went to, I believe, overtime with a future national college champ. So that's how good he was. He was right there. He could have been, a college finalist or champ. I mean, his talent level was there, and he decided to go on to play football. I think he's probably had the highest ceiling of anybody that I've watched personally, just because I seen him, battle. He won a state championship, I think, as a sophomore, and then he was in the state finals a couple more times with really close matches. And one of them, I think his name was Dustin Fox, ended up going to Northwestern and winning a heavyweight title. That name could be wrong. We're talking 20 years ago here, but that's the guy that I think of who had the highest ceiling, who could have done the most, and who really, if he would have took a different path in life, I think he really, really would have been a really great college wrestler and a national champion.
So when we talk about, I like that you brought up the fact that wrestler was a better wrestler than he was a football player, but still went on to play D1 football for Cincinnati. Obviously a great football player.
It's just my opinion. I mean,
if you go D1 and then you go and you play in training camp for the Browns, you're doing something right. But we used to see a lot of people kind of forego wrestling for football or another sport in college, even if they were maybe a better wrestler, or maybe they had more opportunities to be wrestler, just because there were more opportunities in the other sports. We're starting to see that kind of the playing field level a little bit, where we're seeing less and less wrestlers have to make that decision, and they can find opportunities to go and wrestle if that's the sports they have the passion for. What are some things that you see in that regard? Are you seeing a real big growth in the sport at the next level, and more wrestlers in high school decide to stick with wrestling when they go to the next level for college?
As far as the next level in college, the number of D1 teams has kind of stayed the same. It's been right around 80 teams, but you know, they still get cut sometimes. Boise State was cut a few years ago for no good reason, if you ask me. They wanted to put money into a baseball field, and we're talking about in Idaho where it's cold most of the year. They cut the wrestling program, put in a baseball field, and then they cut their baseball team a few years later. So you still see that happening, but the teams have stayed steady because there have been other schools that have added it. Teams like Little Rock is now a new Division I team. There are a couple of other Division I teams that are new spouting up. But I will say, at least for the high school sport in this state, the numbers have stayed really good. And I know locally with all the coaches I've talked to, almost everybody I talked to, their numbers are really good. I mean, we're talking from Division III, the smallest schools, all the way up to Division I. I mean, 15 to 20 is really a normal number right now, and I really think that's something I've not seen. That's the first time that I've known where just about every single school and every single coach that I've talked to, they've got great numbers, and I know the girls have helped that a lot, but they're growing as well. I think the sport is chugging along, and it's found its niche. And it's really because of social media, because of the UFC, and because of the exposure that a lot of these athletes are giving the sport, that it's continuing to grow. And, I'm hearing now, hey, I came out for the team because I saw Caden Henschel on TikTok, or, I saw a clip of the national championship, the college national championship, that made me really intrigued for the sport. So you're seeing it exposed to a whole new group of kids that, before social media, they would never have seen the sport. If their school didn't have it, they wouldn't have watched it on TV. They wouldn't have come across it.
You talk about great numbers. One of the way to build numbers in a program, of course, is to get the youth excited, to get everyone that maybe not be in high school yet excited. One of the ways to do that, we've seen it in basketball the last couple of years. We're seeing it in wrestling on Friday. Wrestling at noon, where all the schools can kind of be a part of it. DJ bringing it up in the comments, Lakeview and Liberty are doing that on Friday. Gary, how exciting is it for you to see schools kind of doing this and giving their chance for their student body to come to wrestling, get excited about the sport? Yeah, you got to think that that's going to bring a lot of people interest into programs that are able to utilize wrestling at noon type of situations.
Yeah, the old assembly matches, that's something they did back in the 90s. They did that a lot. We did it when we were in high school. We'd have the whole student body come and watch as we wrestled another team. It's a really great way to expose it to all the kids in the school. And it's I tell you what, it's a really great atmosphere. It's a real different atmosphere because 99% of the people there are rooting for one team and one wrestler. So, when that wrestler from that school is winning or having a good match, the place goes nuts because there are no opposing fans there. And it can really, really do good for recruiting for your school and for your team, because these kids get to see what wrestling is all about. They don't have to go anywhere, because most of your wrestling matches are not at home. Unless you have a bunch of home duels, which most schools just have a handful, but probably 75 to 80% of your season is spent somewhere else. So you're able to have something at home in front of every kid in the student body. It really is a great thing. I'm glad to see it coming back around and become popular again.
Do you think that puts a little bit of pressure on the coaches and wrestlers to be like, hey, this has to be a good show because we're putting it on for the whole student body? This could actually be like the difference between our numbers in the next 10 years because on how good this goes today. Is that a little bit of pressure put on the wrestlers and coaches, you think, to be like, we better put on this, better look fun, this better look like we know what we're doing out here?
That's putting it mild. To say that there's a lot more pressure. I mean, you got every kid in your high school coming to watch you. There is a lot, of pressure, and it can, it can be something that some of the kids, I don't know how to put it, that some anxiety over, man, I got every single person in here watching me. But I think it brings out the best, because nobody wants to get beat or, lose or cost their team in front of the entire student body. So in the matches that I've seen, in the assembly matches that I've watched, it's always raised the level of all the kids that are there, because the atmosphere is so different. And the coaches as well, they want their kids to wrestle their best, to act their best before and after the match. A lot of eyeballs on you. it's an absolutely different kind of event. And if I don't know if the schools are allowing the public to come in and watch, but if they are, anybody that's a wrestling fan should definitely take a chance to go watch it because it's definitely a different experience.
If the student bodies don't take up the whole seats, absolutely come in. Let's go. I think for basketball, at least the opposing teams bust over some kids from the elementary and the middle school too. So that could be a thing. I don't know if Lakeview and Liberty are doing that. I don't know if I think it's at Lakeview, but I don't know if Liberty is gonna, or it might be at Liberty. But I don't know if the opposing team. We'll just put it that way. I don't know if the opposing team is going to bring in a bus of students as well. But that would be awesome. That would be so awesome. Gary, we also want to just kind of season preview, broad scope, big picture. When you talk about the big events to look forward to, the big meets that we always talk about, the ones that get the limelight, what are they for maybe people that are new to this show or new to wrestling this year? What are some of the big milestones or, tent poles of the wrestling season that are like, hey, here's a big one, here's a big one, here's a big one?
Well, Ohio hosts the toughest high school tournament in the country in the Ironman. It's coming up soon. I believe it's the first or second week of the season in Walsh. There's the AOWL tournament every year, the Eastern Ohio Wrestling League, who some consider the toughest wrestling league in the state. There's the OVAC tournament, it's the largest conference wrestling tournament in the country. Comes up in January. Those are the big ones. The Alliance Top Gun tournament is something that's local there in Stark County coming up. There are so many coming around. If you want to see good wrestling, just go look at the schedules. You're going to find something good within an hour drive of where you're sitting today, most likely.
What I'm hearing is Ohio does it better than anybody. Like, okay, we have the toughest competition. We have the biggest conference competition. I know the OVAC is kind of a mix between Ohio and West Virginia, but I'm going to put Ohio on the map there and just, rep our state a little bit. When you talk about Ohio wrestling, I think we ask this every year. Where does it land on wrestling in the country, in your scope? And you better say number one. No pressure.
Well, that's a big argument. Pennsylvania, I'd be a liar if I tried to say that they weren't number one. They were the best state in the country for folk style wrestling. They're hands down the best. They have the best kids every year. But with the NIL, I think things are going to change. These other, states, they're going to be offering money. These kids are going to move to wherever there is money. But as far as the grassroots effort, there's no doubt that it's Pennsylvania. And Ohio was the clear-cut number 2 for a very long time. And they've kind of bounced between 2, 3, 4. But I still think top to bottom, I think Ohio is still second. There'll be other states that argue that they are there as well. But I think if you take a look at the NCAA All-Americans and what state they were originally from, and I wouldn't even say so much the high school they went to, because a lot of these kids will go to these top-tier high schools, these private schools that are in Pennsylvania, New York, Florida, California, but they're not from there. But if you look at where they're actually from, I believe Ohio usually comes in second in NCAA All-Americans to Pennsylvania most of the time.
I'm not an expert in national wrestling or where the best kids come from by any means, but just my intellectual mind thinks the best states outside of Ohio and Pennsylvania would be like the Midwestern corn-fed, those country boy states, the Nebraskas of the world, probably Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, those ones in the Midwest that you have a lot of guys that just know how to work with their hands. I feel like those would breed wrestlers. Does that match up with the reality, or am I off base?
They have good wrestlers, but it's more, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois, New York, New Jersey.
I guess Illinois counts as Midwest.
New Jersey,
New York surprises me.
Those are the ones. California. So California, obviously the biggest state in the country. They have the most wrestlers in the country, obviously, and their claim to fame is they have one state champion for each weight class. They only have one division. So It's a real meat grinder to get through. I don't know when their postseason starts or how you qualify for. It's like us, if every kid gets a chance. But I can't imagine how long it would take. It's got to take them a month.
It's very interesting because I know California breaks their football up into like different parts of the state, so there's not like a one state champion in California for each division in football, because you have to win like the Southern California. That's your state championship. They cut off the state in different sections because it is so big. But the other thing you see about California, of course, is you get a lot of bigger schools in California, which means kids can specialize a little bit more, which is probably another reason why they have a lot of good wrestlers. And it really, when every sport, it seems like a lot of people are coming from California because there's so many more opportunities over there to specialize in sports because of the size of the schools in California. You don't see a lot of the rural small schools in California like you do in states like Ohio. So I think that's a big reason why you see a lot of specialization over there. Gary, you brought up NIL. NIL found its way into Ohio just recently. We've talked a lot about the impact of it on football since it kind of got announced. What are the impacts you think in NIL and in wrestling? What do you think that does for the sport of wrestling and the wrestlers there?
It's probably going to be similar to what the other sports, what's going to happen there. I guess I don't know. I don't have an opinion yet because I haven't really seen how it impacts anything. And the way that I understand things, you can't have any connection to your high school with any of the money that comes in. Am I correct? You can't represent your high school in a commercial or something like that. So it has to be completely hands off from the school you go to. Is that right?
I would assume, because that's mostly the way it is in college. Like even college players, they have to wear like obviously they're there for their college, but they can't have the college name across the unless it's also sponsored through, like unless they're doing an advertisement that's also a sponsor of the school. I think that there's a little difference there. But I know there's a lot of wonky rules in the NCAA, but I don't want to speak out of my head when I don't know. I'm not entirely sure of all the NIL rules, but that would make a lot of sense, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to definitely impact things. I think you're going to see kids moving more than they would before. Mm-hmm. You don't have just the incentive of, hey, I want to go work with this coach, or I want to be in this room with this competition. Now it's going to be, I want this money. So I'm waiting for the day that some small school has some rich guy, tiny little public school that has some rich guy who's got more money than he knows what to do with, and he starts throwing money at some really great athletes, and you see some top 5 prospect in whatever sport goes to the podunk town and is flying across the field or the court or on the mat wrestling or playing against people he or she probably wouldn't otherwise, because the guy that signed the dotted line said, "Come here, I want you to play for my alma mater." That's what I'm waiting to see. I don't know how realistic that is, but I think it's going to change things. How much? I don't know. I haven't been exposed to it enough, and I haven't looked into it enough to think or have an opinion on it. I just hope it brings good things. And, I hope that it doesn't change the fabric of things much. I still don't know how I feel about it at the collegiate level, seeing people bounce around so much. But at the same time, you are seeing people stay in college longer. And you're seeing guys who wouldn't have a chance to maybe make it to the NFL and make money. They're making money in college, and they'll be able to set themselves up for a good life. And I think that part's great.
I think, honestly, wrestling and the other individualistic kind of sports where you're competing with just yourself and someone else, like your tennises, swimming, track, cross country, those are the ones that really have a little bit more of a chance for NIL to impact, because let's just say you're a 5-star football player and someone offers you a little bit of money to come to a school. Everyone has a price, of course, but at the same time, like if you're a 5-star athlete and you're playing with a bunch of kids that aren't 5-star athletes, in a team sport, you can make a big impact, but at the end of the day, you're probably not going to get to where you need to be as far as coverage, as far as impact, because at the end of the day, no matter what, like if you have one 5-star kid on a football team and that's it, this one 5-star kid, the rest of the kids there are like medium talent at best, you're still probably not going to go far. Like we're not going to have one guy take over football or basketball maybe, but even then you'll run into a team that can probably let you score 35 or 40 and then shut down the rest of your team at some point. But you look at wrestling, you look at, like I said, the individual kind of sports, cross country, track, tennis, golf. Those are the ones where it's like, hey, if I'm good, I'm good. And I don't have to really rely on my teammates to also be good for me to succeed and get exposure. So I can go to this school, that might be paying me a little bit of money, or have a booster or whatever paying you a little money, because it doesn't really matter how good the rest of the players on the team are. I can still go to that school and make a lot of headway.
You're 100% right, in my opinion. The individual sports, you're going to get, you're going to go as far as you're going to go. The only argument, I guess, would be, hey, in your practice room, it's not going to be as good. But if in this scenario, we're talking about money talks. If everybody's got a price, and you sign on the dotted line for a certain amount, I think that some people wouldn't care where they went, and you're going to find somebody to help push you. You're going to find the guys to push you, whether it's in your practice room or you could head to a club somewhere else to do it. So I don't think that would be a problem, because there are so many solutions these days for that. But I would say the pushback to this, you're not going to go as far with a football team or a basketball team, the team sports. I would say that your coverage and the spotlight on you would go farther. If you are just a crazy, amazing standout on your team, there are going to be more eyes on you, and you could have more coverage, and you could have more people looking at you because of what you're doing individually. So, I think that there's benefit to that. If you're going to a school with a bunch of 5 stars, and you're just going to kind of fade into that crowd, and you're not going to get as much attention, you're not going to get as many individual eyes on you, because they're going to be pulled in a bunch of directions. Whereas if you're at a school and you are the top dog, and you are a standout, and you are a top player, wrestler, whatever in your state and on that team, there's going to be a lot of eyes on you, especially in that community.
DJ wants a belt for the state championship. He wants to do away with the trophies. Just get a belt out there. What do you think? You think belts are the way to go for wrestling?
That would be fun. That would be really fun. Wrestling is a very tradition-based sport. A lot of the folks don't like change in this sport. It makes me think about when the state started to allow shorts and a shirt instead of just a singlet, which I think was a fantastic idea. I'll go on record saying that was one of the best things the sport could have done, because there are kids who straight up would not participate in the sport because of the singlet. And now that the state allows the shorts and the shirt, there are kids who tried the sport who never would have. So to try to change it from a medal to a belt, you probably get a lot of pushback. But I think it would be a great idea. Hey, just for the state champs, that'd be something special. I don't know if the state will ever go for that. But hey, the way things progressing, I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in the future we don't see something like that.
Chris Colucci can take the YSN belt down to Columbus if they don't, and then we can have the wrestler grab the belt, put it on his shoulder as he's getting the trophy. Let's go. When you think, we always use this time as Wellsville Coach's Corner too, because you do wear a couple of hats. You're not just our wrestling guru, you're also the head coach of the Wellsville program. So let's talk about that Wellsville program, the Tigers, and what your outlook is for this season.
I'm really proud of our numbers this year. I believe we're the second smallest public school in the state that fills more than half of the weight classes. The last time I looked, we were. So we're graduating 40 to 50 kids per grade. That's boys and girls. And, I've got 16 kids on my high school team, and I believe I have 14 or 15 on my junior high team. And I have to compete against bowling and basketball and, all the other winter sports that we have. I'm proud to say that we got 16 kids on the team. And, I've got, I believe, 11 or 12 7th graders coming up. So, my numbers have always been pretty good. I've always been around 12 to 14. I've never been under double digits, maybe one season this is my 11th year. So I'm really happy to see that the kids are still interested in coming out and still interested in the sport when they could be bowling or they could be playing basketball or have a job or something like that. And we have a great mix I've got a pretty even split all the way down. And Anthony, you'll be interested to hear this. For the first time in my 11 years, I have a female wrestler. And in fact, I have 2 female wrestlers on the high school team. So I think that's just a testament to the sport continuing to grow and the popularity of the sport coming around. And I've got a few seniors that are coming back this year. Leland Mont comes back. He was 29 and I believe 8 last season. He comes back and he's done a big weight cut this year. He went from 215. He's all the way down into the middle weights now. I'm looking forward to watching him. My freshman class from last year, they're sophomores, and they seem to, at least in the practice room. They made a big step, so I'm really excited to see how they do. And I got a couple freshmen coming up, one of which I've got some excitement to watch him because he seems like he's got a lot of potential. He works really hard in the room, so I'm excited for this season. I'm excited to have as many weight classes filled as we are going to have, and I'm just excited to see the interest, at least in my little community of 3,500 people, that we've still got a lot of people in this town that care about the sport and want their kids involved.
Who are the big leaders on the team? Who are the guys you're going to be leaning on this year to kind of be those leaders, to be the ones that control the tempo, control the tone in the weight room, in the practice room, and let your program kind of go?
Leland Mont will be the first one. He's a senior and he's coming back with the most wins on the team. Trenton Rambo, he's the fourth in his family, the fourth Rambo kid that I've had wrestle for me. He's a junior and he's the youngest. So they've been in my wrestling room the entire time that I've been a coach. He looks to come back in here to have a big year. I don't want to leave any of the kids out, but those are the two. They're captains and they're coming back, and have been lifelong wrestlers. Those are the two that all the kids are going to be looking to, for leadership and to see, how they do, on the mat and what kind of step they take this year.
What are some of like the if you had to pick like a motto or the identity of the team, maybe a sentence or a phrase that kind of epitomizes your team or defines your team? What are some things that kind of define your team this year? I know every team's different, so what are some things that make this group unique and this group of players kind of stand out among the rest?
So my second year, I had a motto for us. It was called One Heartbeat. And I really just wanted us all to come together and to think of ourselves as one team. I wanted the kids rooting for each other. I wanted them encouraging each other, and I wanted that from 7th grade on to 12th grade. In wrestling, a lot of times your junior high and your high school practice in the same room. They can't practice with each other, but they practice in the same room. So you do feel kind of like one team. And I think that's one thing we've done as a staff is our kids feel like they are one team and they do feel like they have each other's back. And I'd say our motto is that they're a tight-knit group and they all really like each other. They're all friends. I almost never have any problems on the mat or in the practice room with kids not getting along. In fact, they get along so well that sometimes we have to talk less and wrestle more. So I think being a tight-knit bunch, and I still to this day love that tagline, One Heartbeat. We even had a T-shirt that said Wellsville Wrestling on the front, One Heartbeat on the back, and it had an orange heart in the middle. So I guess that would be what I would hope it would be. And I think that anybody that comes in our room will see these kids all like each other, and they are there for each other.
When you brought up the events that are big on the schedule, I don't think you brought up the one that you host. Talk about that. What do you look forward to in the next one and the 2025-26 round?
Yeah, the Buck Bailey tournament will be on Valentine's Day. This year it'll be on February 14th. And last year it was a really, really, really great event. We had 220 something wrestlers there, 24, 25 teams, and it went off without a hitch. It was ran well. We got in there. We started wrestling at 9 a.m. with 3 mats with over 200 wrestlers, and we were out of there with the team trophies presented and the MVP presented by 6 p.m., and that was a feat. I really think we worked really hard to make sure that was a well-ran tournament. We had a lot of great food donated to us. It went off without a hitch. I believe that we're up to 18 or 19 teams that have committed right now. So we've got a few more that'll be coming in. We've got a few spots open, and then we're going to close it off so that it doesn't get too big because we had even more teams wanting in last year that we had to turn away because our brackets were too big. We were over 16-man brackets. And then when you get into that, you're going to be looking to wrestle too many matches in one day. And you don't want kids forfeiting matches. So we're excited and ready for it to go. My athletic director, Kyle Exline, he done a great job working with me. We're getting prepared for that now. So we'll be ready on February 14th. We're going to be starting wrestling at 9 a.m.
Who are some of the big teams that are committed already? Who are some of the guys and programs that you're excited to bring back to Wellsville?
Off the top of my head, there'll be a lot of the local teams will be there. A lot of YSN teams will be there. It'll be Wellsville, East Palestine, East Liverpool sent some kids there. Boardman came. Minerva, a team right outside of the network, came. Indian Valley came last year. Sandy Valley came. We even had some teams from West Virginia with Weirton. We had Oak Glen. We had a lot. It was Cheney was there. Liberty was there. I just keep remembering these more and more as we go on. But we're hoping to get most of those teams back because we really had some great wrestling. We had a bunch of state qualifiers and state placers that actually were there. And I think the good thing about the tournament is it's at the end of the season. So if you've missed a tournament during the year because you were sick, because you were hurt, or because you had to go out of town and you got points left, we had a lot of those teams who came because they missed something for some reason. And I think it's a great way to wrap up the season. And it's 2 weeks before sectionals, which is, I believe, a perfect time to end your regular season.
Hopefully you have some chocolates at the concession stand, because I feel like some guys might have to convince their significant other to spend their Valentine's Day at the gym doing some wrestling with maybe some chocolates, maybe some flowers.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think a beautiful marketing technique would have some Valentine treats in the concession stands, just in case someone needs to kind of, save face a little bit and make sure they're not sleeping in the doghouse the rest of the night.
Maybe we'll
with
have
their significant other.
Get some roses in there. That's a good idea.
Roses, yeah. Come on, I got a surprise for you.
Make sure we got some roses to sell.
The one last thing we want to do with your coach's corner and in the season preview as well, we want to let you talk about your coaching staff, the people that are helping you with the program, and the people that cannot go without being said, because obviously you don't do it by yourself.
Yeah, I've got guys coming back that have been with me for a long time. I've got a lot of loyal guys who've been here for a while. Bobby Wetzel's coming back to be with me at the high school level. Jake Bates is coming to come coach with me. He's wrestled for me for 4 years. He's a recent graduate. He wanted to get back in the room. Ty Rambo, same thing. He just graduated in 2024. He wanted to come back. He's going to be on the staff. Tommy Redmond's running the junior high with Joe Sereniti, Jimmy Board helping out. These guys have been around forever. They've coached at one level or another for a long time, or they wrestled for us for a long time. I've been blessed to have guys come in, want to coach with me. Guys that have graduated, they want to come back and visit. Jason Tice is another one that's been in the room this year that I'm hoping to get on the staff. I'm just glad that people want to come back, and I'm glad that, for such a small school, I've got like 7 or 8 coaches in the wrestling room every day. It just tells me that people want to be there. And that really makes me, proud of the program and the atmosphere that we have. And I'm just thankful for the guys that I have and all they do for me.
As we talk about the beginning of the season, some things that are happening before we meet together next week, obviously wrestling at noon on Friday between Liberty and Lakeview will be something that we watch a lot. There's also a couple of duels tomorrow on our schedule. Conneaut and Edgewood are both hosting their first duels of the year up in Ashtabula County. They will be hosting. Conneaut will be hosting. Let me get the spreadsheet back up.
Sure.
Conneaut will be hosting Grand Valley, and Edgewood will be hosting Geneva. So those are both some 4-4-0 matchups there in the duels. And then Saturday, Columbiana will be hosting, I think, both Lakeview and Poland will be hosting Columbiana and Lakeview. So those are the ones that we have on our radar. Do you have anything on your radar this weekend or duels that are happening that we can talk about before we'll see each other again next Wednesday?
Yeah, well, I've got a bunch of tournaments listed here with the YSN teams at the Malvern Hornet Holiday Classic, which is where we'll be. There's a bunch of YSN teams. United, Louisville, sending some kids, Western Reserve, Wellsville, Liberty, Southern Waterloo, East Palestine. Perry will be at the North Coast Classic. The Poland Dog duels will be Boardman, Poland, Columbiana, Middle Ridge. Fitch duels will be Fitch and Howland. At the Union Local Rick Link tournament way down in Belmont County in Southern Ohio, be East Liverpool and Edison. Ron Maddow will have Crestview Hubbard and Jackson Milton. In the Ashton Hind tournament, Brookfield, Conneaut, Fitch Girls, Jefferson, and Orange will all be there.
So there is a lot to look forward to. Not only are our YSN teams hosting a couple duels, but like Gary just said, there's a lot of tournaments going on. It is officially the start of the season. Let's go. What kind of things do you want to, like, if you had to say one thing that you want to see coverage wise? We've been raising the bar every year. How should we raise the bar this year? What are some things that like give Chris Colucci some advice out there? He'll be watching this. What should he be doing a little bit more this year? Well, what are we doing to raise the bar?
Chris is doing a great job. Yeah, he really is. I'm serious. Chris is he's doing a great job. He's a great kid. He's working hard, and I love the fact that he's diving head first into this. What I would say, if there's something we could do, all of you former wrestlers out there, I know you've all got opinions and you all like the sport. Why don't you join in so that we can get more coverage? Why don't you guys come on board? I promise you, YSN is a fantastic place with a lot of great people, and you'll have all the support you need. Don't be afraid to try it. It's a blast. I couldn't think of anything more I'd like to do with the very little free time I have in my life than to be on YSN covering games and talking about wrestling. I would say these graduates who've participated in the sport, come and try it out. Send Anthony a message, send DJ a message, get you set up. We can start getting some more of these school coverage.
Yes, if you are interested out there and maybe you're a wrestling fan or you're a former wrestler of a YSN team and you want to help out with our coverage, it's easy. You can either message us on social media, whether it be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You might have some trouble getting a hold of us on Twitch, but we're streaming there. So, but reach out to us, or you can email us at info@ysnlive.com as well. That's a way to get a hold of us. We'd love to have you part of the wrestling team. I think Chris Colucci would love to help as well. We can't wait for this season, Gary. We can't wait for the coverage. We can't wait for the athletes that we're going to be able to feature. We had such a great time interviewing so many great wrestlers last year. Who's one wrestler, real quick before we let you go, who's on your wish list of guys or girls that we have to get on the show?
Well, I would say the Feister brothers. Braden is number 1 and Brayton is number 2 ranked in the state in their weight classes. I'd love to get both of them on at the same time. I think that would be a fun interview with both of those guys. They were great interviews last year. They're going to be right there this whole season. We've been watching them. Chris and I have been talking about them since they've been in high school. And it's really, those are the two that came to mind immediately of who I would like to see this year. Because I think, you could have a 1-2 punch at 190 and 215 in Division II, state champions there at Akron Hoban. Wrestling Big Dogs.
DJ is teasing Wrestling Big Dogs. Can we get wrestling back on the Big Dog circuit? We had it for a year. Took a little bit of a hiatus last year. Can we get wrestling back onto Big Dogs voting? I think I would love to see that.
I would love to see that. If you need nominations, I can definitely help out with that. I don't see why we couldn't. That would be really fun. I think it was a good thing, and it was great to get the wrestlers some exposure. Because one thing, this sport always takes a backseat to basketball, which basketball's a very popular sport. That's it's no surprise, but Big Dogs would be great. I mean, you want engagement, you want your people coming to the site, people exposed to the sport. That's an easy way to do it.
And the best way to really help out, if you're out there, you want Big Dogs to have a hold of wrestling. One of the things why it kind of struggled to come back last year, we just weren't getting enough people sending in, hey, this kid had results. So coaches out there that are out there, ADs out there, even wrestlers that are out there, send in your results so we know who's doing really well in a scope that's big enough to do Big Dogs. Obviously, we can't do the same. We can't do the same 10 every week. So we have to have a good flow of results and wrestlers to get 6 a week for about 10 weeks to make sure that we're giving it its due. So if you want wrestling, a big way to help out the Big Dog cause would be to make sure you help us out in getting results and getting a good idea of who is really doing things out there on a big picture scale. Because like I said, we do have a big volume of players that we would need for Big Dogs. We try not to double up as much as we can. So we would try to love to have, 6 different players every week for 10 weeks. That would be the most ideal thing. But obviously if kids are doing something amazing, we'll repeat them. But still, I would say a good ballpark would be maybe 40 or 50 different athletes for a 10-week Big Dog for 6 a week. So if you're out there, you want Big Dogs in wrestling, that'd be a big way to help out that cause. Help us help you is what we like always to say. And if we have the info, we will absolutely do it, because like DJ said in this comment, heroes are welcome, and there's a lot of heroes in wrestling doing big things for their community, winning state championships. You talked about the Feaster Boys, Hoban. That's like state championship USA for wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. And it shouldn't be hard to get 40 or 50 wrestlers, especially in this area, who
We have,
deserve to be nominated.
We'll do boys and girls. So, I think we're going to kind of put them in the same pool. But when you're pulling from boys and girls wrestling, that's even more wrestlers to pull from now that girls wrestling is growing as much as it is. Gary, you're having a couple of girls wrestlers. That's great to hear that side of the sport is continuing to grow. We have a couple of girls that have a really big chance of making a state tournament, state championship run that have been kind of close the last couple of years. So that's going to be exciting as well. Yeah,
it definitely is. I hope if you need help with nominations, just let me know. I'll get you some nominations. If that's the only thing you need, don't worry, I'll get them. You'll have plenty.
Gary's like, let's go. Whatever. Just let Gary off the chain.
Absolutely.
Gary, we're so looking forward to the rest of this wrestling season, as always. Episode 1 of season 5 is always our season preview. It went off without a hitch. Great job, buddy. And next week, we will start to have guests on this show, whether they be pre-recorded or live. We will try to get them live. That is ideal. But as we learned through the fall, this hour is becoming a little bit more hard, a little bit more difficult to get students, athletes on live. Schools are kind of cracking down on that no cell phone rule. So we'll try to get them live. If we can't, we'll definitely pre-record them, because Tuesdays are usually my days off. So if we have to, we can just pre-record them on Tuesday night and get these kids on the show the next day. So love to have you, Gary. Love to have you on YSN every week, and we can't wait for a whole season of Wrestling Wednesdays with Gary Altizer, buddy.
Hey, I just appreciate you. You still want me back. I'll be here as long as you guys want me. I love this doing this hour, and YSN. I always got a little piece of my heart that bleeds red, white, and blue. So
you're still going to be doing a couple of basketball games now and then too, right? Like you don't put you don't put the headset down either. That's what I love about you. You find a way on the air.
Did the first game for the Tigers last Wednesday. Played Toronto, and next week I'll be back at it. So I'm going to try to do all the boys' home games as long as I'm not at a wrestling match.
Gary never says no to YSN. We love it. We love it. Gary, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. We will see you next week for another episode of Wrestling Wednesday.
Thanks, Anthony.
Gary Altizer. I mean, if you're a wrestling fan and you are out there, there is no one better that really makes sure that wrestling in the area is covered, not just his own kids. In fact, he tries to put other wrestlers, when we're talking about YSN ones, he tries to make sure they get the limelight first, because he doesn't want to feel like he's giving his kids special treatment. But he is a fan of everyone out there in the YSN family that is wrestling. So he just explodes our coverage. We love it. We've loved it for 5 years. This is our 5th year of Wrestling Wednesday, and every year we get a little bit better at this whole segment. So we're going to keep getting better. We'll keep having guests on. Like I said, if you're a wrestling fan, we look forward to Wrestling Wednesdays every week here on this show. 12 to 1, we'll be talking wrestlers around the YSN family, and we'll have a lot of fun with the wrestling season. As we wind down, let's go to the greatest, maybe, ending of a sports show in the history of sports shows. It is a Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? My spark today kind of goes out to, what do I want to say? Leaders of schools, whether they be superintendents, principals, ADs. One of the things that I've kind of been hearing the last couple of years, every now and then, from ADs, from not even ADs, more of the principals, superintendents, they kind of they don't necessarily believe in their kids, and they're kind of easy to get in public and say things that like, hey, our team might win these 4 games, but they're gonna go 0-10 the next 10. Like, our outlook doesn't look good. Like, negativity when you're in charge of a school towards your own student athletes, and we're seeing it in the national scope. A couple of stories out there. Man, I just don't get it. Like, if you're in a school and you're working for a school whether you should be the biggest believer of those kids. And we're just not seeing that at the national level. We were seeing, whether it be colleges, whether it be high schools, we're seeing some of the biggest negativity come from inside the universities or inside the high schools. And in my opinion, that's where the biggest positivity should come. That's where you should almost be delusionally positive around your kids, whether you're in the high school scene, whether you're in the college scene. You should kind of be in that setting where it's your kids against the world. Like, you are in charge of promoting those athletes, promoting those great athletes that are under your umbrella, under your banner. So I want to see more kind of delusional positivity from my executives in school, whether it be high school or colleges, because I think kids have enough negativity coming from the outside, whether it be social media or on the national scale. When you're talking colleges, of course, the national media is never shy to tell a student athlete, especially in college, of course, what they did wrong, what they messed up, what they didn't execute. There's a lot of ways that a college athlete and now high school athlete, that we're getting more and more media coverage in high school, can kind of hear what they did wrong or what they're not doing right or what they didn't execute right. I think that shouldn't come from inside the building. I think in the building there should be nothing but pats on the back and you did a great job and you're going to go win this game. That's where you can be delusionally positive. I mean, like, hey, even if your team, maybe your team's 0-10, right? And you're looking for your first win, you have the opportunity to treat that kid or adult or student athlete, whatever it may be, college, high school, like, hey, you're a superstar. You're going to go out there. You're going to win 10 in a row. I believe in that. So I want to see more delusional positivity. That's my new word today. Delusional positivity from the people inside of school systems, whether it be in the college ranks or in the high school ranks. If you are in a position where you are kind of in charge of supporting and promoting student athletes, you are in a position to be a positive voice in their ear, not a negative one. So if you're out there and maybe you've been a little bit hard on your student athletes, of people that you are under your umbrella, take a little bit of perspective and kind of realize that you're in a position there to be one of the most positive voices that the student athlete can have, because they probably hear it from, their friends outside the sport, their parents, media outside of the sport as well, what they didn't do right, why they're falling short. And I think if you're a superintendent, if you're an AD, if you're a director of athletics in college, you have the opportunity to just be like, hey, you're awesome, you're a rock star because you played for my team, period. So I want to see more of that. I want to see more ADs out there in college, ADs out there in high school, superintendents in high school, principals in high school, show up to their sporting events and treat these kids that are playing for their school like they're superstars, no matter what the results are on the scoreboard, because that's what these kids need. They need a little bit of positivity in their ear, because there's so many negative voices out there that can kind of hurt their mental state, and there shouldn't be one inside the school. And like I said, in the national scale, we've seen some of that, mostly in college, but I think there's some stories out there as well, in high school as well, that we kind of see pop up every now and then. So if you're out there and you're an executive member of a high school or a college, be a positive voice in the student athletes' ears. Please, please, please. That is my spark. For everybody at YSN and myself, we want to say thank you so much for watching this show with us on a Wednesday. You could be doing so many other things with your lunch break. We appreciate you tuning in to YSN Live. We will be back tomorrow for a Thursday episode, last day of the week, with me and DJ back together for the first time since Monday. DJ was on his own yesterday. I had something come up last minute. Obviously, Wrestling Wednesday is me and Gary, and I close out the show by myself. But me and DJ will be back tomorrow for an exciting episode of YSN Live. Don't miss it, and we will be there tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, may the sports be with you.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of Your Sports Network. For stories, stats, and more, go to ysnlive.com.